And a good early Tuesday afternoon. Roger Hill with the VELCO Weather Hazards Outlook, VELCO Weather Hazards Forecaster. We're looking at a day that's featuring some pretty decent weather currently across the region. I have it on heat indices, or heat index, and you can see the temperatures here. And the purple's, of course, above 90, and just how this begins to spread up further to the north. So this is going to be some of the heat that's going to be working our way, but not until as we get in the later part of the work week, especially notable on Friday. And it does look like we'll see a series of weather systems sort of carve this ridge out and become more or less a kind of zonal flow from west to east. And that's going to happen a little bit later on this week. But first we have this trough of lower pressure still off to the west of us, a weak shortwave that kind of worked on out of the region, but we're getting a little bit less dew point temperatures in our neck of the woods here. And so consequently it's not quite as ripe in terms for showers and thunderstorms. Still plenty humid out there, but we're going to see, if anything, just some isolated shower and thunderstorm activity could develop on the Adirondack Mountains. It may creep up into the northwest Champlain Islands region, maybe cut back a little bit toward Rutland, and so on and so forth. But overall, not a big day. Tomorrow looks like a break in between weather systems, and even though we're still going to see relatively high dew point temperatures not that far from 60, it looks like we have a dry day all day long, and maybe just an isolated pop-up shower coming off the southern and central Green Mountains. Really not a whole lot of precipitation associated with that. So it looks like a dry work day during the day tomorrow, Wednesday. Now we get into, for Thursday, a weather system. This is some part of that shortwave trough is going to go over to the top of the ridge. This is going to track through the Great Lakes, and it's going to beef up and juice up with a lot of this sort of heat dome air mass that's going to be advecting into the region. And so consequently, it's going to be pretty super loaded for rainfall, and we could see some torrential rainfall within the embedded thunderstorms, otherwise a lot of heavy shower activity. Not a heck of a lot of sunshine expected, but it looks like the heaviest rainfall will be mainly in central and northern areas as opposed to southern areas, and that'll be cutting across the region from west to east during the day on Thursday. We get a little bit of a break on Friday, just an isolated shower or thunderstorm. Can't rule out the possibility of a wet microburst and any thunderstorms that do develop. And temperatures will be a whole lot warmer, so we also will be having heat indices in play at that point in time. And then another kind of west to east kind of disturbance will work in out of the Great Lakes, Ohio River Valley. That'll take place on Saturday, and that moves on through. And so Sunday sets up dry with a kind of a backdoor cold front, and some of the drier air that's up here associated with this upper low is finally going to get and make it into Canada, southeastern and eastern Canada, and then eventually into all of the northeast United States along about Sunday and into Monday. And that's going to lower the temperatures a little bit. We actually have a little bit of a reprieve and a change up in the overall large-scale weather pattern. And so what we're looking at here on the left-hand side is the European model. This is valid at 0Z. This is going to be 8 p.m. tonight. And we're looking at a pretty good day across Vermont. Tomorrow, an even better day. Wouldn't worry too much about this weak frontal boundary that's going to probably stay north anyway, but it gets close. But yeah, we're talking really minutia here if anything does happen. That is going to be pushing on out. We have pretty good weather up until the time this disturbance works on in, and that's going to start to take place during the morning hours on Thursday. This is a pretty heavy rainfall scenario here, organized, and probably some embedded thunderstorm activity as well, with lightning strikes and whatnot. But the worst of it moves on through and starts to get out by the time we get into the later part of the evening on Thursday night. And it looks like we start to see a little bit better conditions, but very steamy conditions at this point in time for Friday. We might pop a few isolated showers and thunderstorms up in the northern tier regions, as again, this old frontal boundary will be kind of lying near the St. Lawrence Valley, and then that will be activating another round of showers and thunderstorms on Friday. We have this weather system. This is the one that's going to move in on Saturday. So as that gets moving on, that shoots into the region. It looks like the arrival time is more into the afternoon hours on Saturday, and we could see some heavy rainfall once again associated with that. Showers and embedded thunderstorm activity, some of which could be on the heavy side. Then Sunday starts to move into the region with this area of higher pressure starting to push much drier, much lower dew point temperatures into the region at that point in time. Beyond that point, we might be seeing a lot of these weather systems kind of wipe out a little bit as they won't have as much moisture to work with. And so what does shoot on through in the early to mid part of next week, beyond the period, looks like it'll be relatively light and weak up until the time this puppy gets in here. And of course, that changes the whole weather pattern up again. We're talking along about the 6th of August. Looking at the 3-hourly QPF of the GFS ensemble centered on the grid of Montpelier, that's what we're looking at here, and generally dry weather. So we have a little bit of a shot of precip today, but probably not seeing a whole lot. And the latest, the blue line here is the latest GFS, still indicating maybe a couple hundredths of an inch. Pretty doubtful. However, I am looking at a dry weather scenario once we get into the 26th, which is tomorrow, Wednesday. So we're looking at a dry weather day, good maintenance weather day. Take that chance. It does look like we're going to be back into more precipitation as that climbs, and then you can see how this eventually does level out for lesser amounts of precipitation ahead. That's going to be after this coming, probably starting on Sunday and going into the early to mid part of next week. That weather system that's going to move through on Thursday is the main rainfall producer here. So it cuts across from the lower Great Lakes, northern Ohio Valley region, and we're seeing that streak right across into New York and right into Vermont and then out. Looking at the anomalous temperatures, 2-meter temperatures, so nearer to just a smidge below normal. We got well above normal, of course, here where that big heat dome has been forecasted. And it's well above normal in parts of Alaska, the Yukon, and the northern tier regions up in the Canadian archipelago. Something to consider there. And eventually we're going to see the makings of the colder air work on in across parts of Canada, and then that heat dome is pretty much in control here. Our temperatures will end up roughly about 3 degrees above normal. Nothing too extreme there. About 3 days later, once you start to buy into the weighted cooler temperatures of this coming weekend, beyond this weekend, we're starting to see a little bit of a cool down of around -3. Overall in the tropics, really nothing to see here. We're looking pretty good. Anything that does develop is going to be taking that right turn and go out to sea into the North Atlantic. And latest conditions a little bit past 12 noon on this Tuesday afternoon. Roger Hill, Wuthering Heights. Thanks for watching.